We got this. Japan got this. More on that later. Regional differences in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. We were probably playing TMNT Cowabunga Collection. You can switch between US and Japanese games, and you play them and you're like, they're about the same. Well, yeah, for the most part, most of them are almost exactly the same, but there's a few differences you can look out for. So title screens aside in TMNT for the NES, one small feature is when you select your Ninja Turtle, the turtle's color changes corresponding to that Ninja Turtle. Not a huge ordeal, but they kind of added it in there just for fun. In the Japanese version, it doesn't have the logo at the bottom of the screen, so it doesn't do that, it doesn't change. But the Japanese version did add a couple of sound effects that we did not get in the United States. You save the dam, you go home, the door opens up nice and quietly to find out your place has been destroyed. Later on, you beat the giant mouser that will open up the door nice and quiet that will lead you to the turtle blimp. Very cool. In the Japanese version, however, they don't have WD-40 in Japan. That's right, you get that sound when you open up that door. Gotta fix that, right? Same with when you destroy the giant mouser. Oh great, that sound effect of that door, now everyone's gonna know where we are. Interesting difference is April O'Neil in the Japanese one calls him Otosan, which is father, kind of alluding to the fact that maybe April O'Neil is Splinter's daughter. I mean, in the NES one, he does revert back to his human form, so maybe they just made up the story just for the sake of the NES game. I don't know. Though April O'Neil calling Splinter Daddy, that might be a thing all of itself. Couple of differences in TMNT 2, the arcade game for the NES. The Famicom version will be the better version to play if you have the option. And of course, in Cowabunga Collection, you do have an easily option available by hitting that button. So in the US version, your jump kick, not the strongest attack. You know, you just jump, you kick, you know, foot soldiers take about 2 hits each. In the Japanese version, one hit, one kick is all it takes to defeat some of these soldiers. Your jumping attack is the same power as your special move. And on that subject, let's talk about the special move, because in the US version, it's like, it says to hit A and B at the same time, but it's not really A and B, is it? It's like A, B, A, B, A, B. It's like you have to jump then attack, jump then attack, jump then attack, you know, kind of in a rolling motion. In the Japanese version, it is A and B at the same time, to the point where you can hold the attack button and then just hit jump. If you're holding attack and just hitting jump, you can keep attacking that way every single time quickly. And in the Japanese version, you can also pivot and rotate as you're doing the attack too, making it a lot easier for you. Turtles 3 Manhattan Project for the NES, you got your single player or 2-player A and B, that's like your friendly fire or not. You know, still a super cool game, love this game. Japanese version has an options menu. And in the options menu, well, you can start on which level, which difficulty, players. Now you can unlock this with a code in the US version, however, in this one, it's right up front. And it's still gonna be the same game. And TMNT 2 also gives you the point system by 1 enemy per point, while in the Japanese version, the points are more like, 50 points, 100 points. Depending on the enemy, that's gonna depend on your points. Again, doesn't change gameplay, but it's something there for you. Now, of course, a lot of the title screens are different, but I wanted to showcase this one. This is TMNT 2 for the Game Boy, Back from the Sewers, and it makes that sound. It makes that weird kind of sound just on the title screen, just when it says Back from the Sewers. Why would it do that? Well, if you're playing the Japanese version, the 2 kind of zooms in to give you that sound effect that you would need. TMNT 3 Radical Rescue, this is that Metroidvania style game for your Game Boy, or Retrovania, as for some reason I said in my previous video. And when you go to the map screen, it shows you kind of a nondescript, well, it kind of shows you the map and maybe a few things on there. There's a point of interest, but it doesn't tell you what it is. Is it an item? Is it a boss? What is it? Well, who knows? The Japanese version lets you know. So when you play the Japanese version, it gives you a better clue on what's going to be there. One of the enhancements in Cowabunga Collection is you can see the map, so when you play the US version, then you will get this map that has all those features in it. So it gives you the option. Jumping to the arcade versions really quickly, this is TMNT, the arcade game. Now in the US version, you can really score the points because not just enemies, but projectiles. By hitting projectiles out of the air, that counts as a point. So if you get to a nice spot and you just want to rack up the points, now that's the way to do it. Well, in the US version anyway. They removed this version in the Japanese version, not a huge ordeal, but something to keep in mind. Speaking of Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo, this is the Super Nintendo version here. When you kill an enemy, blows up, falls off, whatever, congratulations, you just beat the enemy. Alright. The Japanese version, they say something right before they die. Now, it's in Japanese, so you can't really tell what it says, but at least in the Japanese version, they have kind of a final word before they blow up, so just something else to point out. TMNT Tournament Fighters for the Super Nintendo. Asuka, you can play as her if you'd like. This is the US version. know, this is just what she looks like. This is the version I'm used to. This is what she looks like. When you win, she does this stance, gets the butterflies and all that. Okay, cool. You know, very, very, very mysterious-like, right? The Japanese version of Asuka, however, wearing less, a little bit more revealing, and then when you win, she poses like this. We didn't get that in our version. No siree. We did not get this in the US version. You can check this out though in the Japanese version. And maybe there's a regional difference. I couldn't figure anything out for TMNT Hyperstone Heist or the TMNT Tournament Fighters for the NES or the Genesis. These tips are in thanks to the cutting room floor. Make sure you check out the cutting room floor for these and so much more. I got my video of the Cowabunga Collection if you haven't checked that out yet. If you like this and other videos like this, make sure you're subscribed and we'll see you again in the very near future.